Dear the New Orleans Saints, the season has just come to an end at the hands of our divisional rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. While this is not the ideal outcome, I still wanted to say thank you for this season. This season has been one like none other. I know the players, the coaches, the employees, they've all felt it. I've had I have had the honor to show up and be there for the NFL draft. I was there cheering the Saints on whenever they played the Chargers, and I was also on the screen whenever it was the Christmas Day game. This whole season, I wasn't even too sure if we would even have it. Uh, there was the pandemic. Fans weren't even allowed to be inside the stadium. The players, they had to make sacrifices of seeing their families and everything just so they can play this game that they love. And I just want them to know that I respect them and I thank them for all their efforts that they've done this season. Honestly, it was really fun. It was such a fun ride. It was great to see all of these players ball out. The defense, especially, was dominant. And for years, it was our defense that was having difficulties. And yet, whenever you watched our defense, oh man, they were having fun. You could see it whenever they would get an interception or a sack. They were having a blast. Uh, the energy was honestly infectious, even through a television screen. On the offensive side of the ball, there were so many good memories. We saw Breeze light it up a handful of times. We saw Alvin Kamara score 6 touchdowns on Christmas Day against the Minnesota Vikings. That's a game that I'm not going to forget anytime soon, not just because I was there, or at least on the video call, but what an astounding achievement that he made. We also got to see Taysom Hill take reps as the starting quarterback, and you know, he did fantastic for what he was offered and everything. And you know, I still remember whenever the Broncos didn't have any quarterbacks. I remember I went straight to NFL fantasy and I picked up our defense. I was like, I gotta have it. It was a really fun season. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these guys' faces next year on offense, defense. Um, but there's one guy in particular that isn't going to be there, and I just wanted to say a little piece to him. So, hey, Drew, you don't know me, and honestly, that's okay. Uh, I've I wasn't always a Saints fan. In fact, I didn't even like sports until after I graduated high school in 2013. I started watching football in 2013, 2014 season. Um, the way that I kind of gravitated towards the Saints was the year you won the Super Bowl, the 09 2010 season. I was a freshman in high school, and one of these janitor guys came up to me, and at the time he's like, you look like a young Drew Brees. And I'm sitting there like, man, who the heck is Drew Brees? I wouldn't know who Drew Brees was for another couple of years. I finally wanted to get into football so I can talk to my dad about football. Now that I graduated high school, I was like, I need to expand what I'm comfortable with. And so I immediately was like, who is Drew Brees? The name always stuck with me. I looked it up, and you were playing on the Saints, so I was more than happy to watch a couple of Saints games. Oh man, what a season to start that 2013-2014 season. The Saints went 11-5, starting off the year hot. I think it was 5-0. Whew, it was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I was hooked for life. Then the very next season, we went 7-9. In fact, we did that a couple more times until the 2017-18 season, whenever things were finally starting to look like they were clicking. of course, in that first season, we went 11-5 as well. Unfortunately, Minneapolis Miracle. Then in 2018, the no call. In 2019, honestly, should have been pass interference again, but all right, not as bad. And then this year, hey, it's okay. We didn't have anything outrageous happen this time. Um, and Drew, I really just wanted to say thank you. You don't know how much you've impacted my life, because at the time of coming out of high school, I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and it was always, oh, you can't be a professional wrestler because you're too small. And then I started getting into football, and all the commentators still were like, he shouldn't have been drafted. He was too small. And well, I gravitated towards that, and I it was nice to see you kicking butt and making us short guys feel good. Now, comparatively, you are 6 feet. I am not. I'm like 7 inches shorter than you, or 6 inches shorter. I'm not where you are, but it was the principle. I promise. um, I also met a lot of really cool people because of the Saints. Anytime I got the chance to go to a game, I always met the most amazing people. Like my very first game that I went to was actually in the 2016 season. I still have the tickets hanging on my wall. It was your homecoming to the San Diego Chargers. And there I was, 2016. I stayed at my uncle's house the night before so I can get to the stadium nice and early and tailgate. I was there by myself, and the guys I was sitting next to, they were Saints fans, and honestly, they looked out for me. It was my very first NFL game. And over here on the side where I'm currently by was the tunnel. And I remember you came out and you were signing autographs. And unfortunately, I was blocked by a couple of guys. And so by the time I got to the front, you had to run back into the tunnel. So I didn't get you to sign, well, this jersey. I'm still wearing it. Um, yeah, but oh, what a game. What a game. I remember sitting there 8 rows from the field. We were down by 13 with about 5 minutes left. And I was like, please, please, something happen. Sure enough, turnover on defense, we score. Then another turnover by the defense, and we score. And we won that game 35-34. Somebody brought confetti and actually threw it in the air. That was a huge game for us. And we were already like 0-3 up until that point. So I wasn't expecting much, but what a game that was. That's something that I'm always going to remember, was your homecoming. The next game that I went to was actually with my dad in LA. We saw the Saints take on the LA Rams. And this was prior to the whole no call pass interference game. This was in 2017. Alvin Kamara would eventually take like a 70-yard run just right up here, right into the end zone, right over here. Fantastic game. Now we did lose that game, but I got to take my dad to his first Rams game since he was a kid. And I mean, how cool was that to be able to spend some fatherly time with him? Um, the next game up that I went to was in 2018. So 2017 season, like I said, it was the Minneapolis Miracle. And in 2018, we got the chance to play the Minnesota Vikings. And my little brother loves the Minnesota Vikings. And I was like, hey, why don't we go to Minnesota and see our two teams duke it out? And he said, heck yeah. So we flew all the way to Minnesota. The night before the game, we went and saw the Minnesota Wild play. My brother officially got into hockey, and then we saw this game. the Saints were wearing their Color Rush uniforms. I did not own a Color Rush at the time, but I wanted to. I have one now. I wanted to. Right whenever we took this photo, I saw Cam Jordan working out, and I said, "Hey," and showed him the 94, and he said, "What's up?" It was really cool. But yeah, full disclosure, I was hoping the Vikings would win so he could see his team win in Minnesota. But you wouldn't let that happen, Drew. You went off. We beat the Vikings 30-20. It was a fantastic game and a trip that I'm always going to remember, even if it was for just how intimidating everybody was. Whenever I did something dumb and was trying to start a who dat instead of skull. The next game that I went to, and the last time that I got to see you live, not that photo, excuse me, I forgot to delete it, was the rematch with the Los Angeles Rams in 2019. So right after the no call week 2, you came out to LA, and I actually purchased my dad this custom Rams jersey after they beat us. And he didn't have a Rams jersey, so I wanted to get him one. We went to this game, and unfortunately, this is the game that you hurt your hand, and I was really crushed during that game. It was like, why did you go down and the defense forget how to play? It was just rough, but I digress. Every time that I've ever gone somewhere, I've always managed to find the light in it if it was a negative situation. One of my favorite memories, and unfortunately I don't have the photo prepared, is I got to go to a couple of Saints and Chargers preseason practices whenever you guys would come out here for what seemed like 3 years straight. And I took my buddy DJ, who does a show with me, and we got to see the Saints play the Chargers in the preseason, and we saw Taysom Hill lead a huge comeback and win it in the fourth quarter. It was a great game. Now, you didn't play, but that was to be expected. But yeah, it was really fun, Drew. Everything has been really fun. I wanted to go to this last game, and it wasn't because you were playing Tom Brady. It was because I heard the rumors that you were going to retire, and I heard that, hey, this is probably going to be his last home game, and I wanted to be there. I wasn't dying to see you take on Tom Brady. It didn't matter who you were taking on. I was just dying to see you play at home. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like I will get that opportunity. But that's okay, because I've seen a lot of great games on TV. And if we're being honest, I saw a lot better on TV than I would if I was, way up there in the stands and the nosebleeds. But yeah, so I really just wanted to say thank you, and just know that, you have meant a lot to me. You have meant a lot to the city of New Orleans, and you've touched a lot of people's life. And from the bottom of my heart, Drew, I really hope that you enjoy your retirement, because you deserve it. You've earned it. You've worked your butt off for all the accolades that you've ever achieved. All the people doubting you and saying you couldn't do it, and you did. I got 8 great seasons out of you, man. 8 great seasons. There's so many fan bases that would have died to just have one of the seasons that you've had. I was fortunate enough to get 8. You're the only quarterback I've ever known for the New Orleans Saints, and it's going to be hard to replace you, man. But I'm happy that I've gotten to know you over the years. So thank you, Drew, and enjoy your retirement. You've earned it.